It does.
Mm-hmm.
And, even to this day, I think a lot of times what I'm having to deal with my natural hair is now on a corporate level. I remember going to training in my job, and there was a young lady there, another Black woman. It's not a lot of us where I work. And she had braids. And before she walked in, she asked me, do you think my hair is okay for me to come in a job with braids, or should I have it pulled back? I'm very nervous about my hair. And I'm like, no, you should be okay. My job is quite liberal, but those are the things that we have to think of that I don't think any other culture has to think of is when I walk into a job, what are they going to say about my hair? And, looking at different news articles and, you know, Channel 5 News where, there was a kid on the wrestling team that had they
Oh,
wouldn't let him wrestle because he was forced to cut off his locks.
right.
So on the mat, before the match, he's there cutting off his locks, crying,
Yeah.
and my homegirl's a lawyer, and, they passed the bill. Gosh,
Mm-hmm.
um, what was that bill called? Um, yeah, the Crown Act. The Crown Act, which stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair, is a law that prohibits race based hair discrimination, which is the denial of employment and educational opportunities because of hair texture or protective styles. So we have to bring laws in order for us to be ourselves.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Remember the very first episode I was on? We talked about like the corporate setting and all this. And I mean, there would be no reason for laws like that if this whole anti-natural black hair texture thing wasn't real.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's definitely real. And like you said, people like I'm in a few natural hair groups. I'm in a few
Mm-hmm.
teachers groups. I'm in a few, just different groups. And a thing that I've seen on multiple occasions is like, is this hair okay for the interview? And it's just like
Mm-hmm.
naturally textured black hair looking neat, looking, everything. But the texture,
Yeah.
it was like your hair right now, half up, half down. Is it half up, half down?
Yeah. It's a
Okay,
little,
it's a little, I was like, maybe it's a little puff to the back. But
ponytail.
half up, half down on your hair texture looks totally different than half up, half down on a straight haired person.
Right.
And I think that, I mean, that's literally the only difference. Your hair is clean, your hair is neat, everything, but people will be more accepting of a straight haired version, which is a problem that we have to continue to talk about.
Yeah, I agree. Because when I go to, job work in corporate, I've always just put it in a bun and wear my pearls because, I'm thinking that's just corporate. But, you know, and then when I get the job and I'm comfortable, then I let it all hang out, right? I'm there, what you going, but, we have to have laws enacted. And this goes for men and women, especially with people that have locks, and going to the job and them looking like, oh, they have locks, ew. Because there's a stereotype of that. I know I've heard white people say, well, it just looks dirty. And not knowing that, I know men that go get their hair twisted every other week and it's very well kept, more than probably the people that are saying it is. So we have stereotypes on our hair when it comes to corporate and when it comes to dating. So, yeah, I think these conversations are important to have. So
Yeah.
when was the last time you straightened your hair?
Probably like November, probably almost a year ago, like with a flat iron, straightened it out. Um, it's funny because I usually when I cut my hair, I just do some twists and just cut off the tips because I never wear it straight anyway, so it doesn't really matter how even it is.
Mm-hmm.
But one day in November of last year, I straightened my hair and I cut it and I looked like Dora the Explorer. So I quickly it was just a regular like haircut. So I quickly just, wet it back up, did a little twist out, called it a day. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't straighten my hair like to wear it out very often.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I have not went outside with straight hair in like more than 5 years. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
And I hardly straighten it, not even once a year on average.
Let me ask you a couple questions, which might be a little hard to ask, because I think a lot of times with women that are wanting to be um, more not into themselves, but more comfortable with who they are. And then they decide to go natural because this is me, and you're gonna get this curl pattern whether you like it or not. And it's always kind of been a versus battle between the natural and the non-natural, meaning, they have a perm or they just continuously wear weaves. And so it's always been kind of a battle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the battles, because with a lot of natural women, was like, well, you don't really love yourself if you're not comfortable in having your hair the way that God made it. Do you take that stance?
No, I don't take the stance of you don't love yourself if you're not comfortable with your hair, because it's just such a complex and deep rooted issue as it relates to Black hair texture. So I almost feel like it's just ingrained in some people. Some people, I have a friend who has had a perm or a weave since kindergarten. She told me that, and I was like, she's like, no, because she just like started wearing her natural hair out. And I'm like, I was like, when was the last time you did this? She was like, kindergarten. I'm like, kindergarten. So like when you start out life, a certain way, and you just grow up that way, I don't even think it registers as any type of lack of love for yourself. It's just what you do. This just how you get to know yourself. It's just how you grew up. I do think that it's important for us to undo some of that automaticity as it relates to looking at straight hair as the standard for Black people.
Mm-hmm.
We need to undo some of that, because I think it heavily affects children, which is, we want to break the cycle. We want to get to the point where people can wear their hair however. Like, I'm not mad at people that straighten their hair, wear a wig, but we should look at our natural hair textures as the standard for Black people, because it's standard,
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a great question that I put up, which is another topic that I want to talk about too, real quickly, before we take any calls, is what is good hair? And I would say it for me, which I do fall a victim of, is, understanding what good hair is. And I think a lot of Black people will say, well, good hair depends on how coarse your hair is.